Diddly ho, neighborinos. Welcome back to the official YouTube channel of Kerplunk Media, often imitated but never duplicated. And here we are to talk about the top 5 Criterions that you must own in your Criterion collection. If you do not have these films, you are a little bitch, and that's okay because it is the November half off month, so now you can buy them. If you're new to this channel, I'm sorry I called you a little bitch right off the bat, but if you've been here for a while, you know that's how I talk to my audience. It's all fun. You only roast the ones you love. So here we are in the much fabled, much talked about movie Emporium, and I'm going to show you. So my first pick is going to be the Godzilla from 1954, this Criterion. Now this is one you gotta own because this is one of the first kaiju films, aka like giant monster busting ass in the city kind of movies. The thing that's really cool about this movie itself is that, you know, if you know Godzilla, you know they're cheesy monster movies, all that kind of stuff, lots of fun. The original Godzilla actually is not that fun to watch. It's actually really, really sad because the whole movie is a metaphor for the way the atomic bomb affected Japan after we dropped it in 1945. So not exactly a fun time with the boys to watch, but it is a great movie. The reason I love this Criterion so much for a couple things, I love the packaging. I'm a sucker for paper cases. They truly fuck me up. And look at that. Oh my god, look at there he is. There's a boy. There's Godzilla. I love the fact also that this has the American version and the Japanese version. The interesting thing about the American version is as we tend to do as Americans, it contains some whitewashed history. And so you know, we watched the movie and we're like, well, that's not very fun. Let's put Raymond Burr in there and, you know, make it like a fun monster movie. And so a lot of the upsetting things about, you know, what we did to the Japanese back then is taken out and replaced with, you know, scenes of Raymond Burr making calls and being like, oh my god, this is crazy, that kind of thing. So both versions are pretty good, but I think you should definitely start with the Japanese version the way it was intended, and then if you enjoy it, watch the American version. I don't think you should start with the American version, because that's not an accurate portrayal of the character of Godzilla. Now, moreover, with the packaging, look at that book. Oh my god. But the most exciting part is coming. Are you ready for this? Look, 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 look. Ah! It's a fucking pop-up, dude! How often you get a pop-up book in a Criterion? Never. And so that's why this is one of my all-time favorites. You gotta own this one. This is a must-own on Blu-ray. I think there's a couple other releases of Godzilla on Blu-ray, but the video quality, special features, availability of both versions, nothing stacks up to the way Criterion put this together. So this is my 5th pick for Best Criterion. Now, pick number 4. I know I'm ranking them, but they're in no particular order. Like, these are all 5 on an equal plane of existence for different reasons. So, my next one is going to be Night of the Living Dead. This one is much, much, much deserved of the Criterion treatment. Before this, I feel like we have never seen a good-looking transfer of the film. It's always washed out because this movie is not owned by anybody in particular other than the Romero estate. This movie is... what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say royalty-free, but that's not the word I'm looking for. It's, what the fuck? It's in the public domain. So pretty much anybody can release this movie if they wanted to. So that's why you typically see this movie. If you're watching a horror movie, a lot of times characters on TV are watching Night of the Living Dead. Or like, even recently, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark 2019 had a scene where they're at the drive-in, Night of the Living Dead is playing in the background. Like, I think it's a, you know, a public domain film, so it hasn't been exactly treated with the most respect, even though it's one of the best horror movies of all time. So what happened here is really amazing. Criterion got the rights to do a 4K transfer from the original film negative from the Romero estate. So this is approved by his estate. It looks amazing. It's like a whole new film when you're watching this, because I feel like everybody's seen it so often on VHS or in washed out looking DVDs and things like that, you know, because anybody and their grandpa can print this movie on DVD. But this Blu-ray is amazing. It absolutely slaughters. I think there's like a Twilight Time release of this on Blu-ray. There's a couple like no-name film companies who put this out on Blu-ray, but they just look like an up-converted DVD. But this literally looks like it was filmed yesterday. It's absolutely stunning. This also has a ton of special features and that nice paper packaging that you know your boy loves. Look at all them zombies. Oh my god. I kind of got like burnt out on zombie movies after The Walking Dead because I just felt like they made so many of them. But I'm coming around. I haven't watched Walking Dead since like season 3. I'm starting to learn to love zombies again. And Night of the Living Dead it's one of the best. One of the best zombie movies ever made. I would put it up there. I mean, I think the Dead trilogy as a whole is just like, those are prime zombie movies. And then I think the 2004 Dawn of the Dead is really cool. Look at that poster it comes with. That's really, really cool. Really spooky dooky. The little girl who stabs her mom with a little garden shovel. Traumatic. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, where have you been? Where have you been all your life? You should watch this movie. Really, really good. So, next pick is going to be The Irishman. Now, this is another 4K transfer. I picked this because I love, the packaging. I'm a sucker for a paper case. But this absolutely slaughters you can stream this movie on Netflix. This is a Netflix film. But watching this on disc, and the reason I picked this is a testament to how much better a disc looks than streaming. Now, if you're not like super into video file, I don't know if that's what you call it. If you're not super into video, you might not notice the subtle differences and things like that. But having this side by side, because I remember when this movie first came out, I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I probably watched like 10 minutes of it on Netflix, and then I watched this when it came out, this Blu-ray here, and then I was like, wow, this movie looks like insanely good, and then I decided to watch the one on Netflix kind of side by side with this, and oh my god, it's like watching a totally different movie. The color grading, everything just looks so good on this Blu-ray. And not to mention, this movie is close to 4 hours. If you haven't seen this movie, it's Martin Scorsese making a gangster movie. Right there, that should be enough to sell anybody. Nobody makes gangster movies better than Scorsese, and everybody knows that. I think that's one movie fact that we all can agree on, is nobody makes gangster movies quite like Scorsese. I kind of consider Goodfellas, Casino, and this to be almost a little trilogy, because they all kind of deal with the same themes, but this one, not to give anything away, kind of has a finality to it, and it really hammers home the kind of point that he was building to with the other two films. So this is just a great movie. Really long watch, but I recommend you watch it on the disc. As Criterion, God, and Scorsese intended. Now you gotta look at this packaging. Look at, pull that out. Oh my god, you got the boys. Look at that, squadding up. It's got the I Heard You Paint Houses booklet. Every Criterion comes with a booklet. They got this whole thing going on. Yeah, it's great packaging, a great movie, and I know a lot of people are kind of intimidated by the runtime, but I thought this movie felt like 2.5 hours rather than like 3 hours 50 minutes or something like that. Crazy. I couldn't believe that I was watching the whole thing from front to back, but I literally couldn't stop it. I loved it. It's one of my favorite movies. All right, next we got Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me. Now, I feel like I'm always mentioning David Lynch movies in my videos, and I'm sorry for anybody who's tired of hearing that name. You are right there with my wife. She's rolling her eyes as we speak behind the camera. Every time I say David Lynch, she wants to die. Am I wrong?
No.
There you go. So, that's one thing my wife and I can agree on, is I should stop talking about him. But this is a great movie. The reason I picked this is paper case packaging. I love it. But the audio on this Blu-ray sounds so good and crisp, not to mention the video quality. Any other edition of this movie that you pick up, the DVD, I think there was a Blu-ray released that came with the Twin Peaks Complete Collection that was put out by Paramount. But this just fucking destroys those and makes it call them daddy. It's so nice. It's got included, it's got the missing pieces, which is 90 minutes of deleted and alternate takes of the film, kind of assembled to make its own kind of weird, nonsensical film by David Lynch. So it's a great companion, because this movie is not perfect. It does have its flaws, but everything that is a flaw in this movie is made up by the deleted scenes. You'll be like, there's a couple scenes, there's one scene in particular at the corner store that I'm like, wow, they're breezing through a lot of stuff. What's going on? And those 90 minutes of deleted scenes really expands on what was actually going on there. There's a lot of scenes in the movie that feel like truncated versions, like trimmed down versions of what's actually going on. And the the missing pieces really solves that. So I think that that was also included with that Paramount set, but not as part of the same package on the same disc. And also this stabs the fucking DVD in the heart, because there's a scene where Laura Palmer is at the she's in the pink room and the music is blaring to the point where you have to, in that scene, it's actually subtitled because the music is supposed to be so loud it drowns out their voices. It's part of like the aesthetic of the scene, but they kind of ruined that in the DVD release because when they're talking, they boosted the audio up. So if you were to watch it for the first time like that, you're like, why is this part subtitled? I can perfectly hear what they're saying. That's not how Mr. Lynch intended it, my friend. So yeah, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. Definitely give this film a watch. Make sure you watch the series first, though. Yeah, that is my pick for that. My last pick for must-own Criterions in your collection is going to be Come and See. This is a stupidly underseen war film. And my wife, actually, I'd never heard of this movie. She told me, boyo, you gots to see this. And so I did. I saw it. But you couldn't watch this in America unless you got, I think, an imported DVD or maybe a super out-of-print DVD off Amazon. Or you illegally streamed it on YouTube. And all of those options were really, really shitty video quality. But this is brought back to life on Blu-ray, 4K, film scan of the original negative. And it looks absolutely stunning, and this is a movie that was so deserving of a restoration because it's one of the most beautifully filmed films of all time. The cinematography was by Roger Deakins, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Roger Deakins. And he is one of the best cinematographers of all time. He knows how to make a movie look beautiful. So the fact that you could only see 360 pixel versions of this on YouTube or a shitty DVD, it shits on the visual of this movie. Now, for such a beautiful looking movie, it's an awfully ugly film. It's a tough watch. It's not fun. I probably am going to watch this movie a few more times in my life, but it's not a type of movie where I'm going to watch it every Sunday. But it's really, really good. Very, very meaningful. It's kind of on the longer side. It's almost 3 hours, but totally worth your time. And if you haven't seen it and you're a fan of war films or just a fan of really poignant storytelling, I highly, highly recommend Come and See. It is a Russian film, so it's subtitled, but I don't know. My opinion on subtitled movies is you start watching them and you're like, oh, damn, I got to read. And then 10 minutes in, you forget that you're reading. So gotta watch this. The only thing I can say against this is normally when Criterion puts together packaging, you have like some nice backing cover art and stuff like that. This is a little bland. It's just kind of gray. Get out of here, you book. But the booklet makes up for it. You got a lot of really interesting stuff to read about in here. This thing's got some good-ass special features, and I highly recommend you pick this up in addition to the other 5 films I recommended. Now, hope you guys liked this video. Like, subscribe, all that YouTube bullshit. Drive safe, party on Wayne, and make absolute